time to speak, a bit of time to speak with us, because he is the most remarkable man. He's doing the most remarkable job, and it's taking hours and hours of every day. I'm staggered, and I know him well, but I'm staggered at what he's managed to achieve in the last few weeks, how he was prepared before the invasion, looking for supplies in the expectation that there might be an invasion and we had better be prepared. And if there wasn't, well, we've got additional stocks. Rabbi Ehrentreu came to Zaparozhye 20 years ago or so. He came to take the services for the Yomim Naroim, and he never left. He stayed there, and he is part of Zaparozhye. And he's made the most enormous strides in Zaparozhye. Many of you in Golders Green know it, but there are quite a lot of people tonight who don't know the history there. He's created a kindergarten, a school, the best in Zaparozhye, where everyone is clamoring to get in, an orphanage, built a new shul, and he's done this with partnerships with a wonderful wife, Dina, who has supported him. And because he has this great personality, he makes friends with everyone, not just in the Jewish community, but in the wider secular world, with the local authorities, the regional governors. And this has been a wonderful help in the recent tragedy, which we've been seeing, because he is trusted by the non-Jewish community in Zaparozhye to help them. And he indeed has helped them. When people have been coming to the shul, look fearful of bombings and wanting to be helped, he's helped them. They've sheltered in the basement. He's provided food, not just for the Jewish community, but for any and everyone who has needed it. And medicines also. The partnerships have been tremendous, not just with the Golders Green Shul, which we have been helping Zaparozhye even before Rabbi Ehrentreu arrived there, but particularly since, and the generosity of our community in helping with the WJR appeal has been outstanding. As for the partnership with WJR, they saw Rabbi Ehrentreu some 10 years, 15 years ago, and realized that Zaparozhye was a place where if they invested, they could make a real difference. And they provided the funds for the community center, and they provided the funds to help with the school and the orphanage. It's been a world where Rabbi Ehrentreu has not just been a figurehead, but has done huge amounts, both in Jewish learning there, but in helping a community which was impoverished and which was suffering had suffered under the Nazis and then suffered again under the regime of the Soviet Union before Ukraine got independence, which is now under such destruction. So he's made a difference, and the difference has been extraordinary. You've seen some of it in the updates. Tonight, I've not sent out an update today. It's something which will, because I thought it was much better that instead of my being the intermediary, you heard directly from Rabbi Ehrentreu, a great friend and a wonderful man. Nochem, over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And thank you very much, Michael. And I want to just correct one thing, that I'm in Zaporozhye already not 20, 25 years. So
25. Okay.
And
wonderful.
in my behalf and the behalf of the community, I would like to thank you and Rabbi Belovski and the whole entire community, which it's not, our partnership is for a year. And we are, I think without the community of Donson Sword, Golders Green, it wouldn't be so much success. Because when we feel that the community, the Kehillah, give us our hand, give us our backup, so give us I can be there, but as they say, ein kemach ein Torah. So for sure, it's a big thing, and especially in these days. I will try to say a few words about the situation now, the currently, and also the situation which when the war is starting. It's already for over 2 weeks. There's a massive war attacking Ukraine. And there's actually, it's not a needy war. It's not a war which they have some questions about territory or just because someone wants to take over to occupy a place which he would never, always in the Soviet Union, Ukraine was independent just 30 years. But before the 30 years, Ukraine was under the supervisor of the Russian Federation. The past 30 years, there is, in the beginning, was a few presidents, which they have been under the Russian Federation. And the last one decided to be independent at all from the Russian Federation, which that made us a problem that the authorities did not like it too much, and especially by Putin, under his supervisor. Actually, I have not as a schus, as a challenge, but myself now, after we left Zaparozhye, I'm talking now about the last few days, we left before Shabbat. Last Wednesday, we left the city, and was a very, very, very tremendous, many problems how to get back to go to Israel or to go to other side of Ukraine. Because all over Ukraine is being attacked now, and but there's a big miracle that it's over 2 weeks, which no one thought that could be such a situation. So 2 weeks, and the Russian army, which it's much more stronger than the Ukrainian army, couldn't go to the biggest city. They occupied the small cities. They occupied a few strategic places like the weapon in Chernobyl, and as recently they also occupied, they took over the Kura Garani. It's also a place which they have atomne stanция near Zaporozhye, which is very, very big. And this happened exactly a day after I left, last Thursday, exactly a week ago. And today we heard that they're not managing something there, and they need to. They will stop, or they're going to stop all the water which going to Zaporozhye to use it for the atom stanция, which it's very, very afraid. We don't know exactly what's happened. Just today I heard about it. And the war is going on very, very active and aggressive. And we never, in our best, not just the best, the worst dream which we're dreaming, we never thought that would be a fight, would be a war between Ukraine and Russia. Because there's many Ukrainian lives in Russia, and there's many Russian lives in Ukraine. But from one side, as the Russian Federation, they presented the war as they want to clean up the Nazism. Like in Ukraine, there's a lot of Nazism, and they coming all corruptions. And they coming to clean this up and to do it should be another kind of Russian. But actually, which Putin want now to get all over Ukraine, and Russia should be under his supervisor, is going to be the one which he decide what's going to do. And we can see it in Russia now. If somebody is saying, any reporter that is the word of a war, he can sit in the jail for a few years. So this is not Democrat. It's not. And he wants all this democracy and big wants to do it also in Ukraine. I will start from the end where we left. When we left already Wednesday last week. As I said, we started to drive. We drove from Zaporozhye to Dnieper. It's about 90 kilometers actually, which in a regular basis, it's an hour and 50 minutes, more than an hour to get there. But this time was much longer. It took us a few hours to get to a place which takes 1 hour, because there's many stops, and the army of Ukraine They made a lot of stops in the city, outside the city, and also as well in the city near Dnieper. Even though Dnieper is almost quiet, in Zaparozhye, the Russian came almost near the city. They bombing. They're trying to bomb the city, but as we see, the Ukrainian army, and not just the army, just people from the city, which they never had a fight or they never go to a war, they defended the city. So it's a big miracle that they couldn't get till now inside, like inside, I mean, in middle of the city. We live in the middle of the synagogue, is in the middle of the city. Baruch Hashem, they couldn't get, but there's fights around the city because the Russian surrounded the city with a lot of tanks, about a few hundred tanks. In what we can see that the motivation of the Russian army is not so big, not so strong as the motivation of the Ukrainian army or just civilians, which they want to have they want to see that we are getting the war and we don't leave. And in this war is not fair one thing. Usually there's a war, there's two sides which they're fighting. Here, there's just one side which they wanted to occupy. The other side is just people, civilians, people which they want to live. Just let us live. And another thing, they don't let anyone, any reporter, to get into this war or to report about the war. Why? Because they don't want to. They saying that they want to have control on whatever they're saying, because they don't want to show how many people are getting ruined, how many people are dying during the war from the Russian side, the Ukrainian. But as the time goes, as much more succeed. I mean, not succeed as for sure the Ukrainian has much more newer weapons and newer Scud missiles that they can bomb. But from the other side, the Ukrainian, with which they have less military, they are succeeded and they killed a lot of soldiers of the Russian, but they didn't look for killing. But because of they came to Ukraine and they wanted to take over, so the Ukrainian army didn't have any chance. And first of all, what it made, they knocked down all the airports. There's no one, just the only airport we have is in Zaparozhye. But also in Zaparozhye, they have one line where they knocked it down and from bombs. But still now, I spoke today to the army base in the airport. They told me that they're watching very carefully, and there's a lot of soldiers around here. And thank God that they pushed up the border like 20 kilometers away, the Russian from the city, which is very, very progress and very success. And when we left through Dnipropetrovsk, and then we came to the train station. So there is trains. You don't have to pay for the trains, but the problem is each train, which could take a capacity of 10, let's say 2,000 people, 10,000 people were gathering near the trains and pushing, and it was horrible to go such a train. And if you didn't push too much, you can fall between the rails. You can fall down, and nobody kills. People just pushing, keeping pushing, and getting into the train. Not just you sitting. You sit till now. My back and my feet still hurt me because I was sitting uncomfortable for 24 hours traveling from Dnieper to Lviv. Lviv is the other side of Ukraine, which it's near the border with Poland or Slovakia or Romania. So we travel. It was a very, very not just to say. It reminds you of such a trains of some different times of 1942, 45, when in Germany went into Ukraine, or they went in towards some other places. It reminds us such a time that, God forbidden, children, they don't let out any younger generation men from 18 years till 60 years. So just elderly people, either children with mothers, with little babies. It was very, very, very tired, and we had a very bad time. Even you couldn't. I'm not talking about even to have food. even to, I'm sorry to say, to go to the bathroom. Even in the bathroom, there were people. And the people were sitting on the pole and the floor, and one on top of the other. And each place where they stopped, they pushed up again more and more people. And till we came to Lvov, and Lvov looks like a camp of refugees. Tens of thousands of people came to Lvov, and just there, the BBC and the CNN and all the reporters staying in Lvov, which is outside, actually it's in the end of Ukraine, and they cannot report anything about the war. And then from there, we took a bus till the Slovakian border. And again, you have to wait in the borders for hours. Said it's 7 hours waiting. And then from the border, we got to Budapest. It's another 4 hours. And then, Baruch Hashem, we took a plane. I came before Shabbos to Ukraine. As for now,
Israel.
I came back, I'm sorry, to Israel. I'm already confused a little. And I got, Baruch Hashem, finally to Israel. But since we came to Israel, why we decided to leave Ukraine? So the reason was because when we already, after a few days of the war started much more aggressive. And since when the war was starting, wasn't once, it was before, we thought it's going to be a few bombs, and it's not going to happen inside. You're not going to get inside the cities. But as the time goes, the Russian authorities decide to bring some more tanks and more soldiers, and to get inside to the cities. So in the beginning, they start to go to if you see in the map, there's a city called Rostov. So they came from Rostov, from one side, and another side they came from Crimea. So actually this war was starting 2014, when Putin decided to take over Crimea and Lugansk and Donetsk. And that time, 2014, it was also 70 kilometers away from Zaparozhye, and was also possibility that he will get into Zaparozhye. But then, thank God, he stopped. I don't know for which reason, but he decided that Donetsk and Lugansk, it's enough for him. And but all the time was discussion. So Crimea was like independent by himself, because Crimea was once Ukraine, once Russia, so it wasn't so clear. But after now in this war, he decided this is not enough for him. He needs all Ukraine to take over. And then it will be quiet. And when the war started, we thought in a day, 48 hours, everything will be gone. It's impossible, it should be, because they have so many soldiers in Ukraine and not ready for it. So I was 100% sure that they will take over. But from that time, the Ukrainian soldiers, and not just the soldiers, I'm talking about many not soldiers, young fellows, which they took guns. They gave out, for example, about over 1,000 guns they gave out in the city to everyone. After 18 years, you bought a passport and you got a gun and go to the front. And they fight so much that they, thank God, in all the cities, even he was shooting in a hospital 2 days ago, or in a kindergarten. Even though there's people which they staying behind and they're not letting go the tanks to inside the city. They're flying, whatever doesn't have a gun, you can take a Molotov bottle into a tank. So it's something not usual, and I can say even it's a miracle that so many days nobody thought in their life that would be possible so long not to get into Ukraine. So which this is yeah.
Can I ask you more specifically about the community in Zaporozhye? It's been remarkable that they have held out. You're saying, if I understood, that you heard today that the water might be cut off to Zaporozhye?
Yeah. Because of there's something, they have a problem with in Gadar, 60 kilometers away from Zaporozhye, is the
with the nuclear.
nuclear, yeah. So they have some problems. I don't know exactly what, that you have to, there's some water, what's going on. First of all, they change all the people there, so they don't know exactly how to manage with this, because for Ukraine it was a place which special people, just training people, was working always to that place. So in Zaparozhye, what Michael is asking me, I would like to, besides what you said, we started to have, Baruch Hashem, many people, new people came to the community, and the community was growing. I can say that recently was in middle of many activities which we accomplished, and in middle of this success comes a time when you have to stop everything and you have to deal with something else, with a war, which which we couldn't know before that it's going to happen. And when the alarm started, right away I understood that it's something is going not so well, and it's the start of the war, and you have to manage now a different kind of field, which I never deal with it. So right away, what we made is we said for those that live near the shul, there's no Ukraine, Bechlal in Zaparozhye, there isn't any bomb shelter, because I don't remember the past 30 years for sure there wasn't any war, so they're not ready for it. So where they can put, they have some bombing shelter in the schools, kindergarten, but people which they live around there, they saw in the shul. They saw in the shul, in the basement of the shul, it's like a bombing shelter because it's almost downstairs. It's a basement, so they feel much better to be there, much safer. And right away, when the silence went, there's so many people who went in, Jewish and not Jewish, and people are begging, asking, crying, "Let us go in, let us go. Will you let us go in?" And you see not just children. You see, there was babies, 4 months, a year, small little babies. And you know, by the Russian, I assume it's everywhere. The main thing of a person has, it's his dog, his cat, whatever he has he have in his own. I saw also one child came over with a small fish aquarium with 5 fish. So I heard he asked his mother, Misha, he said, "Did you think they will survive the war?" It was so unusual to see such a, and as they arrived to the shul, right away, even there is, not all over Ukraine, but there is some anti-Semitism. But I think now became a very united between the Ukrainian and between the Jewish community. Because they
provided food as well, did you not?
Yeah.
All the food
so,
and...
we provide them food, and right away I was announcing that we're going now through not a regular time, but you have to be. First of all, we should know there's a God which is the supervisor of the world, and we should know that when you have something, you have to know that in a war you have to believe, and not to leave your belief, and not just the believing. I'm talking about, you have to know that you have to be sure that we will overcome this war and everything will be okay. So everybody, all the neighbors which they went in was already too much. So I said there's no place already where to be. It's dangerous, you know. There isn't so much a place to. There's very few windows, and it could be Chas v'Sholem something not good. That so many people in one room, in a few rooms, but downstairs. So I told the neighbors that it's already, I don't know where to put it. So they said, you know what, we're ready even to go inside the shul, inside the synagogue, because they said that the synagogue is a place which it's a holy place, and the shul nobody will knock it down. And you can feel even not Jewish people has some idea or the feeling that to be a Jew makes you more safe. So many people came to the synagogue, and they were sitting there, and they saw us davening also. We said the Tehillim as well. So they sang downstairs, they used to say like this, when you daven upstairs, so So the Eivishter gives us help and strength that shouldn't be nothing downstairs.
Nochem,
But anyways,
you talked about the terrible journey you had to get from Zaporozhye to Budapest.
yes.
You've been sending convoys from Zaporozhye on a different route now. How are those people coping? And have you managed, I asked you yesterday, how many buses might go today? Can you tell us that?
Yes, I will explain now what's going on currently at the time. We are trying to move to evacuate people from the city to the other side of Ukraine. Because in the other side of Ukraine, the mountains of Karpaty or Lviv or Chernovitz, over there, you don't feel too much the war. The reason is because they're very near the border. And the Russians understand that if something will get fly there, so it's not going to be like you're starting with Ukraine, you're starting with Europe. So we are now trying to evacuate as much people we could to the other side of Ukraine. Every day we took one day with those 4 buses, then another day those 6 buses, and today we had 2 buses, and yesterday we had a bus. And now beginning one big problem, because those they want to do Aliyah, there's too many people, and it's Jewish people from the all over communities, not just from Zaporozhye, which they wanted to do Aliyah. And the Israeli minister or Nativ, those they have to take in charge of they don't have enough people to organize and to take the information and to organize them for Aliyah. So it became, they said like this, there's about now close to 15,000 Jewish population from all over Ukraine, which they want to do Aliyah. And they don't have enough people that will take care of it. Yeah, that's
just
one
like
problem.
the British, yeah.
Yeah, refugees came with one time. Everyone came. Everyone wants to. So it's not so convenient. That's one problem. The other problems is facilities. Europe, even Moldavia or Poland, they're not ready to take such an amount of. It's besides the Jewish population going a lot of Ukrainian. So it's hundreds of thousands. They're saying that this past week, more than 1.5 million, there's children, elderly people, and ladies, but not from the men's because they cannot go outside Ukraine. And the problem is, which I'm getting stuck now, that there's no place where to put them, to settle them in a hotel or in a whatever. You cannot put them just in. It's cold outside. And it's a very big problem to manage a place where you can host them. You can put them a hotel or any apartment or any. There's no more capacity, not in Ukraine and not in the other side of Ukraine. So therefore now we're looking for new places. We maybe we'll do planes from Romania to Italy or to some other places to take away those that are already on the other side of Ukraine or the other side of the border, to travel with them to some other cities in Europe. And this is a very big. You have to do it. It's a very big. It's not just to organize, and you need a lot of people to get it on.
You can't do all of this on your own. Are you doing this with World Jewish Relief, or how is it being done?
We are on the other side. We are. There is a few. There's some different charities that are helping the people to evacuate and to go to Israel. And now the problem became in Israel. In Israel, they have to the airport, and they don't have enough secretaries or people that they can receive the people and where to take them, because Israel, everything is also bureaucratic. So they take him to hotels or to some other, but also Israel, it's impossible to Israel to get everyone in one day. So there's very big, today they show in the news how many people are still waiting for 24 hours to go out from the airport because of this problem. And it's a very big problem which we're facing now. but from the other side, people wanted to evacuate. So the meantime, we wanted maybe, I don't know, to build or to find solutions for those refugees. It's a very, very big problem, which nobody could, there's no answer for it so quick, but we're dealing with many, many problems. It's not just to take them away from Zaparozhye to another place. So we're looking now for those places which we can keep them and to give opportunity to let them stay in a safe place. But with the help of WGR, without the help of the WGR, we couldn't manage to take them away from Zaparozhye until the other side of Ukraine. So we're now working in a few fields. Once we to evacuate the elderly people and children and those that can go out from the country till the other side of Ukraine. The other activities, we're trying to buy as much as food we could to give out to those people that are already in the city and they're not going to go out of the city, to supply them food, to supply them medication, whatever needs. And it's also not so easy because you cannot get it in stores. You have to deal with these suppliers or warehouses. And I became in 1 week to face so many problems with the borders and people left passport. They forgot the passports or the birth certificate. There's so many problems which we never knew about these problems. But you're facing as the time goes. It's like a story which you're starting with something and then you're doing one job, then you have to do another job, So it's all day people are calling you and crying, and just take us away. And so many new families and new Jewish people, which they all over Ukraine. It's not just in our city. I hear it from all over that people would never, not just is not coming to the synagogue, but we didn't know it exists for different reasons. But now, because he knows that the Kehillah, the community, helps out to people go out or as much they could, so they coming over to the shul and asking for help. Even I'm currently here in Israel, but I'm actually working very hard every day for hours to manage to arrange buses and to take them out from the city to the end of Ukraine, and then to take it from Lvov to some other border, which border you can go, which border you cannot go. It's a very, very complicated work, but thank God is when you see that people from the other side of the world, from England, from USA, whatever, there's so many good people that they so kindless and they give themselves. They give not just they give charity, they give tzedakah and they're helping. So it gives a big backup for everyone that we feel we're not just by ourselves. And also many people I wanted to mention asking what we can do. It's not just to send money, but I think, as they're saying, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh B'Zeh. We are every Jew is responsible for another Jew. So if some Jewish communities, people are doing good deeds in Torah, they're learning more, or tefillah, davening, or tzedakah, so that could change the benefit of other side of the world in Ukraine for people, or the war should be stopped. So we have to think also about this. So many people all over the world. I hear that in the shul, Rabbi Belovski every day saying Tilim, and many other communities starting to pray and to. So there's the fact that people are davening all over the world give also a lot of strength to the community. And always today we have a Zoom every day to the community, and I'm speaking to them that you should know that you're not by yourself, and everyone here, everybody davens for you and thinking about you. And you should know that we Am Yisrael Chai. We're not. Yes, we're going through now a very hard situation, but the situation, you see even miracles. We all hope now that Purim is coming down, and Mir Hashem next week should be even Afachu, and the Eibishter should show the world that even the whole world scared about this person from the Russian Federation, but I'm sure that something is supposed to be, something has to happen, because so many days that they're still keeping, and they cannot go inside to any big cities. Even though they're knocking down and they shoot a lot of people, and Baruch Hashem, they did not do anything to the cities, inside the cities. I mean, they couldn't occupy the cities. So it's a big, very big miracle.
Rabbi
I know
Ehrentreu,
that there are other questions, and Joel, I'll hand over to Joel. One last question to you from me is, have you got an idea of how many more people will be leaving Zaporozhye?
To know exactly, it's hard to say, but you have to understand that every family, when they know there's a family, so the wife knows that she lives away with the husband, and she doesn't know if the husband will come back, if somebody will take him to the war. So many families are very divided to go away and not go away. Therefore, as for now, the exactly amount I don't know, but there is for sure over 1,500, 2,000 people, which might be will go out. But it cannot be. There's a whole. Even the first day, I remember that I told everyone that you got to leave. People didn't have in the mind that you have to leave, because I said it's a sakona. It's dangerous to stay there. And people, it reminds you when you read about the Holocaust, which many Rabbonim said to people they should run away. They couldn't believe there was nothing will happen. As the same thing is here. People they have to understand and live with it, that we have to live from here. I don't know if to live to Israel is our answer, or to live to Germany. That's another question, where to live. But to stay in the city where it's a danger, and every day, what we're very, very afraid, that Putin sees that over, I don't know exactly, but the amount, they're talking about 15,000 soldiers got killed by the Ukrainian military, which it's a lot. And I think he cannot be the side which is not the one is getting the game. So might be that will be something worse. So that's what I'm keeping and telling people, that he can, Chas v'sholom, God forbid, he can take planes and to knock down from, like he knows how to do it. He made it in Chechnya and some different places, but we don't know. And also,
would you? I've finished with my question. Joel, do you want?
Yeah, Rabbi Ehrentreu, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you so much for taking the time to share this really heartbreaking update. But you know, to let you know also that the whole community, those 53 that are on the call this evening, but also many others, are standing with you and thinking of the whole community in Zaporozhye, and we all hope and pray for a speedy and peaceful resolution, and you know, recognizing all of your hard work and time and stress that you're bearing in this time. And with that, I want to hand over to Rabbi Belovski to just offer a few words of comfort to your community and to you, and to close with some Tehillim.
Good evening, everyone. I have listened, as you have, with enormous admiration, and also tremendous distress to hear, Nochem, what you've been through, just hearing about your own journey, which, Baruch Hashem, you've completed safely. And I know that it's your intention to return to Ukraine when it's possible. And this is one of what appears to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of journeys made by Jews and non-Jews who are suffering enormously since the beginning of the Russian occupation of Ukraine. And this seems to be an ongoing situation, something we were speaking about this evening, but it doesn't seem to be a very obvious end. But Nochem, it's also an opportunity to repeat what has been said, that our community stands with you. And I hope that some of people in Zaporozhye will have read the message that I wrote, which we published. I know that our community has been extremely generous and will continue to help if at all possible. But maybe more important, and I said this in Shul a little while ago, that we read these news reports and they're very general, they're very non-specific, and however painful they are, it's hard to relate to them. What you've succeeded in doing for us is to make this a very real event, something which is horrible, unimaginable, and something which we never imagined we would experience in our times, or we'd watch people we know have to suffer. But to be able to connect to a community, to individuals, there are many people on this call who have been to Zaparozhye. I've been twice, Mike has been many times, and there are others who have been, and perhaps there'll be a time in Hashem to come in the future. And to be able to connect this to a real event makes it much more real. And enabling us to actually connect with these events in this way is very important. It's important to make it meaningful. It's easy. There will come a time when this drops off the headlines, when something else replaces it, but you will always be in our thoughts and hearts. And again, to say, Nochem, the Gemara says that there are people who are kind of olam b'sha'achas, people who are kind of acquire their kind of purpose in life and their afterlife, in just a moment. I think we can say with confidence that you and your family, those who are with you have done this many, many, many times over, saved hundreds of lives, revived a community, created a community, and Mr. Hashem will do so again. And so our love and thoughts are with you and every member of the community. And as we come to Purim, the message of Purim is that things can be turned around very suddenly and unexpectedly. And Mr. Hashem, we hope that will happen, and that there'll be a possibility for people to return to their homes and resume their lives, and you to resume your good work there. Benachas rather than b'tsar. I have put together, I hope this is going to work. To finish the evening, I'm going to, first of all, to thank Mike very much for his ongoing support. Joel's already done that, and to thank all of you for joining at short notice. We thought it was important to put something together when Rabbi Ehrentreu is available. And I'm going to attempt to put the Tehillim on the screen and hope this will work. Here we go, look at that. So I even managed to make it work. So here are the Tehillim I prepared. They'll be familiar, they're the ones we've been staying in shul. So there's Kuf Kaf 120 and 121, and then the tefillah that follows. Please read with me. Shamalois el Adonai batzoro soli korosi vayaneni Adonai hatzilo nafshi misafas shekem elo shoyn v'mio Mayitain lecho ma yosef lo v'shoyn v'mio Chitzei giboy shenunim im gachle v'somim Oyoli ki garti meshech shochanti im ole kedor Rabba shoch nochlo nafshi mesoynei shalom Ani shalom v'chiada berhei mola milchomo. And Kuf Kaf Aleph 121, which is more familiar. Shelam alois esoinai el hehorim me'ayin yovoy Ezri me'madoinoi oisei shomayim voret al yitein lamoid raglecho al yono ma shoymerecho hinei lo yono v'lo yishon shoymer Yisrael Adonai shoymerecho Adonai tilecho al yad yaminecho yoimo ma shemesh lo yakeko v'yoreach baloilo Adonai shmorcho mikol ro yishmor es nafshecho Adonai shmor tzeischo voyecho me'ato v'yatoilom Achenu kol beis Yisrael anusunim batzoro v'shivyo oimedim ve'im bayom ve'im bayabosho Amokom yirachem aleihem v'yotziei mitoro l'irvocho u'me'afelo lo'iro u'mishibet ligulo hashto ba'agolo v'zman koriv v'imru amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nochem. And Joel.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Ehrentreu. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for you, Joel.
The updates will continue, but not tonight. From tomorrow, I will continue reporting, and we'll speak tomorrow morning, Nochem, yes?
Nochem.
Yes.
Zygazum, go to sleep. You look like you really need to go to sleep. I'm very pleased we ran this, but please go to sleep.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and a good night and a good night of Shabbos. Thank you, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.